going on, Predators? It's Travis here, and today we're going to be doing a review of the IQ Pro 1 Bowsight. So I've been using this thing for a good 3 months now, and I've actually been very impressed with it, but I do have some very important critiques that I wish that they would listen to. If you want to hear what those are, stay tuned till the end of the video. All right, so very first impressions here. It's a very nice feel, nice build to it. It's heavy without heavy duty without being too heavy. Oh, that's tight. That is really tight. I'm gonna have to fix that later. This is way too tight. So yeah, it feels good in the hand. I was kind of worried from the design. It looked kind of plasticky, honestly, just from the external. Just from the packaging and everything, but once I picked it up, I was like, okay, yeah, this thing is going to be built pretty good, pretty durable. It has a grippy little knob down here to adjust the sight. Okay, you see it is a single pin. I think it's a 119 or 110. Yep. Anyways, it's a very nice fine pin, and this is where I guess you do the sight tape on it there. You can see the retina lock is working there, and that's what it looks like whenever it's lined up perfectly. It's got the adjustment on the top just like before. So I've done 2 other videos on the IQ Bowsights. This is the second one with the retina lock technology. But basically, I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of setup on it. I'm just going to go ahead and slap this on my bow and then start shooting with it. So basically, the IQ Pro 1 Bowsight here has been a very good sight. It's very treated well. It's very, very durable. So like I say, it's made out of aluminum here. And the housing, I'm not sure if this is made out of plastic or aluminum, but the fact that I can't tell means that it's actually built with some really good quality. It does have the typical adjustments that most Bowsights have, where it has the windage and elevation adjustments. It doesn't have a second or third axis adjustment, which I think is a place that they can improve on this, because this is, again, called the Pro 1, right? So you'd think it'd be a little bit more professional of a sight, but overall, it's really good. It's got nice knurled knobs here, easy to adjust settings on it. It does have thread on the outside here of the housing, so if you wanted to add a lens on the outside of that there, you very much could. One of the main reasons that I decided to go with this Bowsight is I liked, I had the IQ Define Pro and I did the IQ Define Bowsight before that, and those sights worked out very great for me. I'm a big fan of them. The reason I was really a big fan of the IQ Define Pro was because it had that retina lock technology. So for me, shooting without a peep, that is very paramount in making sure that every time I draw back, my consistency is there. So I know that whenever I release that arrow, that it's going exactly where that pin is. So having this continued on into the IQ Pro 1 was a very good idea, and I think it's something that really helps me out quite a bit. I'd like to see some version of this from other manufacturers as well. So if you know anybody that has some kind of technology that kind of like this, that allows you to see if you're torquing your bow or something like that, or if your alignment is not right from shot to shot, I'm all ears. I want to see more things like that on the market. For somebody who shoots peepless like me, that's really paramount to make sure that all my shots are very accurate. So again, the sight is very lightweight, and this is what I liked about it. So I had gone from basically through 3 very heavy Bowsights. So I'd gone from the Spot Hog Fast Steady XL, which was very durable, but again, it's very, very heavy, especially with that dovetail on there. Then I gone to the IQ Define, which was a great sight, and it was much like this one, but it added a rangefinder onto it. Then the IQ Define Pro had more pins and a rangefinder on it, although it was a little bit it was a little bit lighter setup there. It was still about the same weight as the IQ Define on there. And so putting this on there, it was really good for me. So it almost feels like a breath of fresh air. Like, I feel like my bow is much lighter, much easier to balance. I was actually able to take most of the weight off of the front of my stabilizer here, because I was or off the rear of my stabilizer, because I was compensating so much for that heavy weight out here. I was putting more and more weight on the back, which made my bow just overall a lot heavier. So I was able to take two 1 ounce weights off the back of my rear stabilizer there, so that I could make this whole setup a lot lighter, which has worked out really well for me. So some things that I don't like about it, again, is the lack of a second, third axis adjustment, which, you know, for most of the time, especially within like 40, 50 yards, not a big deal for me, but something nice that I think they should add to it. And also is the lack of sight tapes. So it doesn't come with any sight tapes on it. At least the version I got did not. And so basically what I did is, it's got a piece of tape on the outside of it here for yardage, and it's got one on the inside right there where the sight pin is. And basically what you do is, you're supposed to shoot at 20 yards or 15 yards, whichever you want to make your first pin at, and then you mark on the tape. And then you go to 40 yards or 30 yards and mark a tape, and so on and so forth, all throughout the range as far as you can shoot, which works very well actually. But the problem I'm worried about is, if I get into the rain for weather or fog or something like that, or it starts misting outside, I want to make sure that I'm not going to lose my markings on there because they're just written on there with a pin. Now, let's say, okay, we'll just use a Sharpie. Well, the problem with using a Sharpie is that there's very few Sharpies out there that can write fine enough to have individual yardage markings. And I'm not going to sit there and write individual yardage markings all over this thing. So I want to have something that is preset, that I can tune from the factory, and you know, right out of the gate, and make sure that it lines up with my sight. So I purchased some of these Spot Hog sight tapes, and I'm going to put those on there. So far, just by using these marks, it works perfectly fine. Again, I can get very, very accurate with it. So what I can do is, I can actually shoot this out to, so far I've shot to about 60 yards, and it's perfectly on spot. But then what I'm going to do is, after I get everything marked and sighted in, I'm going to match that up with one of the Spot Hog sight tapes and use that instead. So anyways, guys, if you have any questions, please ask those in the comments below. So this is the IQ Pro 1 Bowsight. I'm a big fan of it so far. So thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't already, like and subscribe this video, because this is how we grow this channel. I apologize in advance because I haven't put out a lot of videos lately. I have been traveling like crazy for work. But thank you guys for tuning in, supporting the channel, supporting me, supporting my family, and supporting the outdoors. And as always, keep defying the odds.